Farid Rahman was 30 years old and lived in a small town in South Asia, surrounded by narrow streets, chaotic markets, and the constant sound of car horns echoing between buildings worn down by time. His life until then had been a sequence of relentless efforts to stay afloat in the face of adversity. Born into a humble family, he had known from an early age the harshness of work, the weight of responsibilities, and the constant feeling that life always demanded more than he had to give. He worked in a small office, earning a modest salary that barely covered his expenses. At the end of each month, almost nothing was left. It was as if every coin slipped through his fingers, dissolving before he could even think of a better future. For many years, Farid believed that life was simply like this, a cycle of hard work with minimal rewards. He had heard from elders that happiness was reserved only for those who accepted their reality without questioning, and that dreaming big was a waste of energy. Yet, deep inside, something pulsed differently. There was a restlessness that prevented him from fully conforming. He looked at the few who prospered, observed how some managed to achieve not only material wealth but also a life abundant in experiences and accomplishments, and asked himself, why not me? This question, seemingly simple, began to haunt Farid. It echoed in the moments of silence, when he walked home after another long day, or at night lying in his modest room, lit only by the dim glow of an old lamp. It was as if something within him screamed for an answer, for a key that could open the door to a different reality. Then, one morning, during a coffee break, a coworker casually mentioned the name Bob Proctor. He spoke enthusiastically about motivational videos he had watched, where Proctor explained concepts of the human mind and the powerful force of thoughts in shaping reality. For many, it might have sounded like just another trivial conversation, but for Farid, it ignited a spark. He had never heard of this author before, but the way his colleague described Proctor's message stirred his curiosity. That night, determined, Farid searched for Proctor's materials online. What he found was an entirely new universe. Bob Proctor spoke with remarkable conviction about the law of attraction, about the idea that our thoughts shape the reality we live in, and that by changing the way we think, we can literally transform our circumstances. He spoke of mental paradigms, limiting beliefs, and the importance of visualizing the desired future as if it were already real. For Farid, those words were not merely motivational, they were revelatory. For the first time in years, he felt he had discovered something that could truly change the course of his life. The weeks that followed were a period of immersion. Farid spent his nights watching lectures, reading excerpts from books, and listening to Proctor's audios. With every new lesson, he realized how conditioned his mind had been by patterns of scarcity and limitation. He now understood that since childhood, he had been taught to believe that success was the privilege of a few, that abundance was nearly unattainable, and that his role was merely to work hard without expecting much reward. It was as if he had carried a veil over his eyes all his life, and little by little, that veil began to lift. But understanding the theory was only the first step. Farid realized he had to apply those principles in his daily life. He recalled a phrase from Bob Proctor that had deeply impacted him. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. This idea became a kind of mantra for him. So he began practicing visualization. Every morning before leaving home, he closed his eyes and imagined himself living a completely different life. He visualized himself in a comfortable home, traveling to places he had only ever seen in pictures, even driving the car he had always wanted. He didn't just create mental images, he tried to feel the emotions as if he were already living them. At first, he felt foolish. A part of him still doubted, whispering, "This won't work, you're wasting your time." But there was also a growing flame of hope, and it was that flame that kept him going. As days passed, he began noticing small shifts in his perception. Suddenly, he started seeing opportunities he used to overlook. A seemingly irrelevant conversation at work revealed itself as a useful connection. A simple idea to save time in the office turned into praise from his boss. These small victories reinforced his belief that he was on the right path. Farid also decided to create a vision board inspired by Proctor's teachings. He cut out magazine images, printed photos from the internet, and arranged them on a large poster he hung on his bedroom wall. There he displayed his greatest desires: a spacious house, international trips, a luxury car, but also intangible elements like health, inner peace, and harmonious relationships. Every day, upon waking and before going to bed, he looked at that board and repeated to himself, "This is already mine. I am already living this." Over time, the practice affected not only his vision of the future, but also his attitude toward life. Farid noticed himself becoming more confident, more optimistic, and even more pleasant in the eyes of others. His co-workers noticed the change and began commenting on how he seemed lighter, more enthusiastic. This renewed energy attracted new opportunities, new connections. It was as if the world around him was responding to the new vibrational pattern he was emitting. Still, the journey was not without challenges. There were days when doubt returned strongly. In moments of financial strain, when an unexpected bill arrived or when something didn't go as planned, Farid caught himself wondering if all of this was nothing but an illusion. At those times, he returned to Proctor's teachings, which emphasized persistence and unwavering faith. He remembered another striking phrase: "Doubt and fear only exist when you feed them. Replace them with faith and action." And with effort, he chose to feed faith. A turning point in his transformation came when he decided to practice gratitude consciously. Farid began writing down every day in a small notebook 3 things he was grateful for. At first, it felt difficult. He didn't have great achievements to record, so he wrote simple things. "I'm grateful I have food today. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for this new knowledge." Over time, this habit transformed his perception. He realized that even amid difficulties, there was always something to be grateful for. This shift in focus made his mind constantly seek the positive side of situations. Gradually, his reality began to reflect his inner transformation more clearly. He received an unexpected proposal from an old acquaintance to join a small side project, which brought him extra income. On another occasion, he was invited to attend a free training program offered by a local NGO, where he learned new skills that boosted his professional confidence. These were signs, he believed, that the universe was responding to his new vibration. Farid knew he was still at the beginning of his journey. He hadn't achieved everything he desired yet, but he felt something he had never felt before: the certainty that he was on the right path. With each passing day, he understood more and more that the law of attraction was not just about materializing possessions, but about becoming the person capable of sustaining that new reality. He was learning to align his thoughts, emotions, and actions with the life he wanted to live. And in that small room in South Asia, surrounded by images of dreams that still seemed distant, Farid Rahman awakened to a new understanding. The power to transform his life had always been within him. All he needed was to believe, to visualize, and to act with faith. What once seemed impossible was beginning to reveal itself not only as possible, but inevitable. Farid Rahman woke up every morning with a different feeling. It wasn't just hope, but a subtle energy that seemed to surround his entire being. With each passing day, he felt more attentive to the small opportunities that appeared, more conscious of the choices he made, more sensitive to coincidences he would have once ignored. His daily practice of visualization, of writing down his dream board, and of feeling his desired reality as if it were already present, was beginning to generate tangible changes. And although still modest, these changes confirmed to him that faith, when combined with action, could create surprising results. The first significant sign appeared unexpectedly. On a rainy morning, Farid was walking to the office carrying his worn-out briefcase when an old childhood friend, Amir, crossed his path. Amir had moved to another city years before and apparently lived a completely different life. Surprised by the encounter, Farid began talking about work and life. Amir mentioned that his company was starting an accounting project for small local businesses and needed someone with experience and dedication. Without hesitation, Farid offered himself and, to his surprise, was accepted. The payment wasn't extraordinary, just enough to cover some overdue bills. But for Farid, it was a powerful sign. He realized that the opportunity had come without him actively seeking it, exactly as Bob Proctor taught. When you emit the right vibration, the universe responds in unexpected ways. He began to understand that tangible results don't always show up immediately as large sums of money or monumental achievements. Often, they appear first as small signs, tests of faith and persistence. Over the following weeks, Farid began focusing on recognizing these signs and opportunities. He started noticing that some everyday situations had hidden meaning. A colleague greeting him with more attention, an unexpected phone call, an email offering something he hadn't even looked for. Each small event began to feel like a piece of the puzzle his mind was assembling, and he learned to celebrate each small victory with gratitude. Bob Proctor emphasized that gratitude was the catalyst that accelerated the results of the law of attraction, and Farid applied this principle intensely. Every night before sleeping, he wrote down 3 new things he was grateful for: opportunities, encounters, lessons, even if simple. Meanwhile, at work, his attitude began to change noticeably. Farid became more confident, more proactive, and more optimistic. He realized that as his mind adjusted to focus on abundance and prosperity, the people around him responded positively. Bosses and colleagues began to trust more in his abilities, inviting him to participate in important decisions. He was learning that the external world reflected the internal one. His energy, his faith, and his disposition directly influenced how others perceived and interacted with him. One of the first tests came when a large unexpected expense arose. Farid's father needed expensive medical treatment, something he couldn't afford with his modest salary. For the first time, doubt tried to invade his mind more intensely. He felt fear, anxiety, and the weight of the impossible on his shoulders. But, remembering Bob Proctor's words, Farid decided not to give in. Instead of focusing on the lack, he focused on what he desired: enough abundance to cover the expenses, health for his father, solutions he couldn't yet see. He visualized the money arriving, felt gratitude as if the problem was already solved, and repeated mentally, "This is already happening. I just need to trust." Days later, surprising news shifted his perspective. A former client of the accounting office, whom Farid had helped years earlier, reached out asking for urgent help with a tax issue. He paid a significant sum up front for the service, enough to cover his father's medical expenses and still allow some savings. For Farid, this wasn't luck or coincidence. It was confirmation that the universe responded to his belief and aligned action. He began to see that the law of attraction doesn't work with isolated thoughts, but required a constant mental state of trust, visualization, and inspired action. The following month, other opportunities began to arise organically. Farid received invitations to side projects in accounting and finance, free workshops that improved his skills, and even an unexpected contact from an international company looking for remote consultants. Each new event reinforced his belief that he was on the right path, and that when the mind aligns with a clear purpose, the world responds with resources and situations that once seemed out of reach. At the same time, Farid noticed significant internal changes. He realized his anxiety was decreasing, his sleep improving, and his energy increasing. The feeling of helplessness he had carried since childhood began to fade, replaced by a sense of capability and control over his own life. He understood that true transformation wasn't limited to money or material goods. It was also about self-confidence, inner peace, and clarity of purpose. Bob Proctor used to say that true wealth was the sum of all these dimensions, and Farid was beginning to experience this in practice. An important element during this stage was consolidating his vision board. Farid began adjusting it, adding images that represented not only material wealth, but life experiences, travels, courses, valuable contacts, happy moments with family. Every day, he spent a few minutes looking at the board, feeling the emotions associated with each achievement as if they were already real. This practice reinforced his subconscious mind, strengthening the positive paradigms he was creating. As the months passed, Farid also realized the importance of inspired action. He didn't limit himself to passive visualization. He sought opportunities, improved his skills, helped colleagues, created solutions. He learned that the law of attraction requires a balance between faith and movement. While the mind creates and attracts, the body acts and manifests. Each step taken, even small ones, was a gesture that strengthened his trust in the process and accelerated the results. The deepest impact, however, was in how Farid began relating to people. He became more generous, more patient, more attentive to others' needs. The positive energy he radiated not only attracted opportunities, but also created valuable connections. Old friends reached out again, colleagues began seeking his opinion, and even strangers showed sympathy and trust. Farid started realizing that abundance wasn't just financial. It was social, emotional, and spiritual. By the end of this period, Farid looked back and could hardly recognize the man he had been just a few months ago. The sense of helplessness, the constant fear, the scarcity mindset, all of that had been replaced by confidence, faith, and positive expectation. He hadn't yet achieved all the goals on his vision board, but the internal transformation was already visible and undeniable. He was beginning to understand Bob Proctor's central message. The life you desire begins inside your mind and is reflected in the world as you act in alignment with it. And so Farid Rahman continued his journey, experiencing the first tangible fruits of his practice, recognizing the signs of the universe, and consolidating the certainty that the unexpected could indeed happen at any moment, as long as he kept his mind and heart aligned with the abundance he desired. What once seemed impossible was now beginning to materialize. And deep in his soul, Farid knew this was only the beginning of a series of extraordinary events that would completely transform his life. The next step would be to maintain unshakable faith, keep visualizing, act with intention, and allow the universe to bring the unexpected in an even more meaningful way. The following months brought Farid Rahman experiences he could never have imagined possible. Each small sign that once appeared discreetly began to manifest with greater intensity, almost as if the universe were testing his faith and determination. Farid was no longer the man consumed by doubt and fear, facing the world with resignation. He had discovered the power of aligning his thoughts, emotions, and actions with what he desired, and now he was about to witness the most surprising results of his practice with the law of attraction, inspired by Bob Proctor. The first major sign came on an ordinary afternoon while Farid was reviewing documents from his side accounting project. An unexpected call came from an international client, a businessman from Malaysia who urgently needed help organizing both his personal and business finances. The referral had come from someone Farid barely remembered meeting. The businessman offered him a remote work contract with a payment far higher than anything Farid had ever earned in his professional life. It was as if the universe had suddenly decided to show him that the unexpected could be extraordinary. Farid felt a mix of disbelief and joy. He knew he had planted the seed through his daily thoughts and visualizations, but he still couldn't believe how quickly the opportunity had manifested. Over the following weeks, other remarkable coincidences began to unfold. Farid received offers for small consulting jobs, invitations to lectures and free workshops that would provide him with skills and knowledge to accelerate his career. Each event reinforced his realization that the law of attraction was not abstract theory, but something that, when practiced with discipline and faith, could generate real, measurable, tangible changes. He began to see that opportunities did not arise by chance. They were direct responses to his new mental frequency, the clarity of his goals, and the energy he radiated into the world. One of the most significant changes was financial. Farid had carried debts that once seemed insurmountable, but as new sources of income appeared unexpectedly, he was able not only to pay them off, but also to build small savings. He felt a newfound sense of freedom, something he had never experienced before. More than that, he began to view money not as something scarce or limited, but as energy circulating naturally and abundantly in his life. Bob Proctor always said that wealth was not just the possession of money, but the consciousness of abundance. Fareed was now living that truth in a practical, visceral way. Beyond material change, Fareed began to notice profound transformations in his behavior and relationships. His confidence grew noticeably. In work meetings, he expressed himself with assurance, presented innovative ideas, and drew the attention and respect of colleagues and superiors. Outside the professional environment, he began to relate more harmoniously with family and friends. The positive energy he radiated made him magnetic, able to attract people and experiences that once seemed out of reach. He finally understood that the law of attraction was not only about money or possessions. It was about living in alignment with his essence, radiating vibrations that drew the best into his life. There were also moments of testing. Despite his achievements, Fareed still faced unexpected challenges. Once, a client delayed essential payments, and a family emergency demanded significant expenses. For a moment, the old doubt resurfaced. Am I just fooling myself? But he quickly turned to Bob Proctor's teachings, recalling the words about unwavering faith, inspired action, and the importance of focusing on what you want, not on temporary appearances of lack. These experiences served as powerful reminders that transformation did not occur without challenges, but that each obstacle was also an opportunity to reinforce belief and trust in the process. Most impressive was the way unexpected opportunities began to appear with increasing precision, almost as if the universe were conspiring in his favor. He reconnected with an old mentor who offered strategic guidance, received a proposal for a new business partnership, and was even approached by an influential person he had secretly admired. Each event seemed small on its own, but together they created an avalanche of possibilities, reinforcing his conviction that he was on the right path. Fareed also devoted time to strengthening his mind and awareness. Daily reading, meditation focused on abundance, affirmations, and visualizations became routine. He understood that the law of attraction worked best when mind, body, and emotions were aligned. He not only desired wealth and success, but felt as if he already had them, cultivating gratitude for every small sign and each step forward. Bob Proctor emphasized the importance of feeling as though victory were already happening, and Fareed followed this principle faithfully, generating a vibrational frequency that attracted opportunities aligned with his mental state. His newfound confidence and clarity also began to impact his emotional and relational life. Fareed became more empathetic, patient, and receptive to others. His conversations grew deeper, his presence more striking, and people naturally felt drawn to his positive energy. He realized that as his vibration rose, not only did his material life improve, but his relationships also transformed, creating a virtuous cycle of fulfilling and enriching experiences. One remarkable episode occurred on a rainy morning when he received an unexpected payment from a project completed weeks earlier. The money appeared in his account completely out of the blue, and he vividly recalled Proctor's phrase, "If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand." He felt the confirmation that his practice was working, that unwavering faith, constant visualization, and inspired action produce real results. This experience marked a psychological turning point. He no longer merely believed in the law of attraction. He knew from first-hand experience that it was a tangible, reliable force when applied correctly. Fareed also realized that the law of attraction was not about waiting passively for results, but about actively co-creating. He began planning his steps, developing skills, strengthening connections, and exploring opportunities aligned with his goals. Every action taken with intention, no matter how small, accelerated the manifestation of his desires. He learned to trust both his planning and the universe's response, knowing that the combination of vision, action, and faith was the key to consistent and meaningful results. Over time, Fareed began to live more intentionally. Each decision, each thought, each action was guided by clarity of purpose and alignment with his objectives. He maintained his daily habit of visualization and gratitude, watching life respond in ways that once seemed impossible. With each step, new opportunities appeared, always aligned with what he had imagined and felt. The abundance that once seemed distant was becoming a tangible reality, and Farid felt increasingly confident that his future would be transformed in extraordinary ways. In summary, the third phase of Farid Rahman's journey was marked by the awakening of concrete results, the clear recognition of signs and opportunities, and the strengthening of his faith. He had learned that the law of attraction was not magic, but a process requiring discipline, consistency, and alignment between mind, emotions, and actions. He was now living tangible proof that the universe responds when human consciousness aligns with what is desired with clarity, intention, and deep feeling. Farid's life, once marked by scarcity, doubt, and frustration, was being transformed. The unexpected was happening in increasingly surprising ways, and he understood that true change did not come only from money or external opportunities, but from a transformed mind, capable of seeing, feeling, and attracting the life he had always desired. And as he continued along this journey, he knew there were still greater achievements ahead, challenges to overcome, and even more extraordinary experiences waiting to manifest.
Farid Rahman had already experienced small and medium manifestations of the law of attraction, but nothing could have prepared him for what was about to happen. He woke up that morning with a different feeling, an almost tangible intuition that something big was about to unfold in his life. The city still slept under a thin fog, and the distant sound of traffic blended with the timid singing of birds. It was as if the universe were whispering, "Get ready, something extraordinary is coming." For weeks, Farid had been practicing Bob Proctor's teachings with absolute discipline. Daily visualizations, abundance affirmations, an updated vision board, conscious gratitude, and inspired action. He didn't just believe, he felt, with every fiber of his being, that his life could and would change significantly. The feeling was so intense that he realized his whole body vibrated with anticipation, and that every small manifestation before had only been preparation for something greater. The great event began with an unexpected phone call. An investor from a neighboring country who had quietly followed Farid's work through side projects and recommendations reached out. The proposal was bold, a partnership to open a new venture focused on international financial consulting, something none of his previous projects had ever come close to. The investment offered was significant, enough not only to guarantee financial stability, but also to transform his life permanently. The initial shock gave way to a sense of disbelief mixed with joy. Farid's heart raced, a blend of fear and excitement. But this time, he refused to let doubt take over. He remembered one of Proctor's most powerful quotes, "When you fully believe, the impossible becomes inevitable." He took a deep breath, visualized the success of the venture, felt gratitude as if he were already living that moment, and responded positively to the proposal with conviction and confidence. In the weeks that followed, the planning of the new venture began. Farid worked tirelessly, but with an energy completely different from anything he had ever felt before. Every task, every meeting, every decision seemed guided by a higher force, as if the universe were supporting him at every step. He realized that aligned faith and action produced not only results, but also clarity and creative solutions to problems that once seemed impossible. As the venture took shape, Farid noticed an even deeper internal transformation. He was more centered, balanced, and confident. The anxiety that once paralyzed him had vanished, replaced by a sense of control and empowerment. He understood that the law of attraction was not just about generating material wealth, but also about strengthening the mind, self-esteem, and the ability to make decisions aligned with one's highest goals. And then the unexpected happened. A potential client who had initially shown disinterest came back surprisingly with an even more advantageous contract than expected. An international contact, once distant and inaccessible, reached out spontaneously for a meeting that led to new business opportunities. Each event seemed small in isolation, but together they created a true tsunami of positive change in Farid's life. He began to clearly see that the law of attraction didn't just respond to his desires, it expanded the possibilities, creating outcomes beyond his initial imagination. The financial impact was immediate. Farid, who had once lived month to month, now had enough stability to pay off all debts and still invest in future projects. But more important than the money was the sense of freedom and confidence he now felt. He could dream bigger, plan boldly, and act without fear. Bob Proctor often said that true wealth lies in the freedom to create and expand, and Farid was living this fully. At the same time, his personal life also transformed. Relationships with family and friends improved significantly. Farid became a source of inspiration to those around him, proving that real change is possible when one believes and acts in alignment with their dreams. His positive energy, confidence, and enthusiasm were contagious, attracting even more opportunities and strengthening valuable connections. A particularly moving moment came when Farid received a message of gratitude from a young man who had followed his journey online and had been inspired by his story to seek change in his own life. This feedback reinforced the importance of sharing his experience and serving as proof that the law of attraction, when understood and applied, generates real, transformative, and lasting results. With the venture underway and opportunities multiplying, Farid realized that his daily practice of visualization and gratitude was not just useful, it was essential. Every morning, he still sat for a few minutes, imagining the success of the business, feeling joy and gratitude as if it were already happening. Every night before bed, he reviewed the day's events and gave thanks for the achievements, no matter how small. This routine strengthened his subconscious mind and kept his vibration high, continuously attracting new results. Farid also began to see that the great transformative event wasn't limited to financial gains or business opportunities. It was a profound shift in his consciousness. He was becoming increasingly aware of his power to create his reality, of his ability to influence the world around him with thoughts, emotions, and actions aligned with his desires. He understood that although the external events were impressive, the true transformation was happening within him, in how he perceived life and related to his own possibilities. The sense that the universe was conspiring in his favor brought an unprecedented confidence. Farid began making bolder decisions, investing in bigger projects, and taking on responsibilities that once would have seemed impossible. Each action was inspired, each choice carefully aligned with his deepest goals and desires. He had learned that the law of attraction is not about waiting passively. It's about actively co-creating with faith, intention, and consistent action. Reflecting on his journey, Farid realized that the entire process had begun with a simple step: believing. The decision to follow Bob Proctor's teachings, to visualize the future he desired, and to act in alignment with it had been the starting point that triggered a series of transformative events. He understood that the key to the law of attraction was not just in wanting something, but in living as if it were already his, keeping the mind, heart, and actions aligned with what he wanted to manifest. Farid Rahman's great transformative event not only changed his external reality, but also redefined his identity. He was no longer the insecure man trapped in scarcity and doubt. He had become someone capable of creating opportunities, attracting abundance, and living in harmony with his greatest desires. The sense of personal power, confidence, and clarity he now felt was incomparable to any material achievement. He had learned that true change begins within and is reflected in the world in extraordinary ways. And so, as the venture prospered, new opportunities emerged, and his life took an unexpected and extraordinary turn, Farid felt he had reached a true turning point.
The experience confirmed to him that the law of attraction, when understood and applied with discipline, faith, and inspired action, not only transforms lives, but also creates a continuous flow of positive events that can exceed any expectation. What once seemed impossible was now becoming reality. Farid Rahman knew the best was yet to come, but the certainty that his life had been permanently transformed was already enough to keep him motivated, to keep expanding his vision, and to live fully, aligned with the abundance, confidence, and happiness he had always desired.
After the great transformative event, Farid Rahman's life entered a phase of intense expansion. The international venture was already operating successfully, bringing not only financial stability but also experiences he had never imagined possible. Recognition of his talents began to spread, both in his professional and personal spheres, and his confidence continued to grow exponentially. However, Farid knew that to maintain and multiply these results, he needed more than luck or coincidence. It required discipline, focus, and constant alignment with his goals. He quickly realized that as results increased, so did new challenges. Larger contracts demanded more dedication, strategic decisions became more complex, and family responsibilities continued to arise. But unlike in the past, Farid felt neither fear nor anxiety. He had learned that every challenge was in fact an opportunity for growth. Inspired by Bob Proctor's teachings that obstacles are tests meant to strengthen faith and expand awareness, Farid began to see every difficulty as a stepping stone toward even greater achievements. The first major challenge came when an international client, initially enthusiastic, suddenly began questioning deadlines and costs. For Farid, it was a delicate moment, but he remained centered. Before responding, he took a deep breath, visualized the ideal outcome, and approached the situation with calm and clarity. Instead of reacting impulsively, he sought solutions that would benefit both sides. To his surprise, the client not only accepted the proposed terms, but also praised Farid's professionalism and commitment. This experience reinforced his understanding that a clear, focused, and aligned mind attracts positive results even in the face of challenges. As the venture grew, Farid noticed his finances multiplying in ways that felt almost magical. Unexpected payments, investment opportunities, invitations to give paid lectures and workshops appeared frequently, as if the universe were constantly testing and rewarding his faith and action. He began to grasp one of Bob Proctor's core principles. The more aware you become of your inner power, the greater the abundance you can attract and manifest. At the same time, Farid felt an increasing need to contribute and share his experience with others. He began mentoring friends and colleagues who also wanted to transform their lives, showing them that daily practices of visualization, gratitude, and inspired action were the path to real change. The success stories of people around him, motivated by his example, became an additional source of inspiration for Farid, reinforcing his certainty that the law of attraction works not only for oneself, but also positively influences the environment around us. While expanding his business, Farid also dedicated himself to improving his personal and professional skills. Advanced finance courses, communication workshops, leadership training all became part of his disciplined routine. He understood that the law of attraction does not replace effort, knowledge, or growth, but instead amplifies the results of those who dedicate themselves to becoming better. Every new skill became a tool to multiply results and create fresh opportunities, further consolidating his path to success. The emotional and psychological impact of this expansion phase was also profound. Farid felt increasingly confident in his ability to manifest what he desired. He didn't just believe, he embodied an unshakable confidence that was reflected in all areas of his life. This inner security allowed him to make bold decisions, invest in larger projects, and face any situation with serenity.
He understood that the true wealth of the law of attraction lies not only in what you receive, but also in the transformation that happens within, strengthening the mind, courage, and vision of the future. A defining moment of this expansion phase occurred when Farid received an unexpected invitation to participate in an international conference on entrepreneurship and success, where he could share his story with hundreds of people from different countries. The opportunity appeared spontaneously, the result of recognition of his journey and the energy he radiated. For Farid, this invitation represented not only acknowledgement, but also the chance to inspire others, multiplying the positive impact of his journey. Meanwhile, Farid noticed that the universe responded not only to his directed actions, but also to his constant emotional and mental state. He became even more attentive to his thoughts, keeping his focus on abundance, gratitude, and positivity even in adverse situations. This consistent alignment generated surprising results: unexpected encounters, new business opportunities, and solutions to problems that once seemed impossible. He finally understood that the vibrational frequency we emit is the greatest determinant of the experiences we attract into our lives. On a personal level, Farid also experienced profound changes. His confidence made him magnetic, and people who once felt distant began to draw near, attracted by his positive energy. He built new relationships, strengthening valuable and meaningful connections. Abundance was no longer limited to money or business. It became social, emotional, and spiritual. He felt that by raising his own consciousness, he was also raising the quality of life for those around him. Daily discipline remained the foundation of his transformation. Visualizations, affirmations, and gratitude continued as pillars of his routine. But now, Farid also devoted himself to strategic and conscious action. Every decision, every investment, every partnership was carefully planned, but always accompanied with confidence and faith in the process. He had learned that manifestation is not passive. It requires aligned action, courage, and persistence. The result of this expansion phase was an almost constant multiplication of opportunities and achievements. Larger contracts, unexpected payments, professional recognition, personal and emotional growth, everything seemed to converge into a continuous flow of abundance. Farid understood that this was not luck or coincidence, but rather a direct reflection of his mind, attitude, and energy in harmony with the universe. Every step taken with faith and intention turned into tangible results, once again confirming the principles taught by Bob Proctor. Farid also realized the importance of celebrating each achievement. He no longer looked only toward the future, but also recognized and appreciated every victory, every step forward, no matter how small. Gratitude had become not just a daily practice, but a way of life. He understood that by valuing each step of the journey, he strengthened his vibration and attracted even more abundance and opportunities, creating a self-sustaining positive cycle. As he continued expanding his business and personal life, Farid felt a growing sense of purpose. He understood that his transformation was not just for himself, but also to serve as inspiration and example to others. Every story shared, every piece of guidance offered, and every positive action had a direct impact on people's lives around him, reinforcing the awareness that the law of attraction is not only about individual results, but also positively influences the environment around us. While expanding his business, Farid also dedicated himself to improving his personal and professional skills. Advanced finance courses, communication workshops, leadership training all became part of his disciplined routine. He understood that the law of attraction does not replace effort, knowledge, or growth, but instead amplifies the results of those who dedicate themselves to becoming better. Every new skill became a tool to multiply results and create fresh opportunities, further consolidating his path to success. The emotional and psychological impact of this expansion phase was also profound. Farid felt increasingly confident in his ability to manifest what he desired.
He didn't just believe, he embodied an unshakable confidence that was reflected in all areas of his life. This inner security allowed him to make bold decisions, invest in larger projects, and face any situation with serenity. He understood that the true wealth of the law of attraction lies not only in what you receive, but also in the transformation that happens within, strengthening the mind, courage, and vision of the future. A defining moment of this expansion phase occurred when Farid received an unexpected invitation to participate in an international conference on entrepreneurship and success, where he could share his story with hundreds of people from different countries. The opportunity appeared spontaneously, the result of recognition of his journey and the energy he radiated. For Farid, this invitation represented not only acknowledgement, but also the chance to inspire others, multiplying the positive impact of his journey. Meanwhile, Farid noticed that the universe responded not only to his directed actions, but also to his constant emotional and mental state. He became even more attentive to his thoughts, keeping his focus on abundance, gratitude, and positivity even in adverse situations. This consistent alignment generated surprising results. Unexpected encounters, new business opportunities, and solutions to problems that once seemed impossible. He finally understood that the vibrational frequency we emit is the greatest determinant of the experiences we attract into our lives. On a personal level, Farid also experienced profound changes. His confidence made.
Despite all the progress and achievements, Farid Rahman soon realized that true transformation is not limited to moments of success and abundance. Life has a tendency to test those who rise, and he was about to face unexpected challenges that would test not only his skills, but also his faith, patience, and emotional resilience. What seemed like a period of stability began to reveal subtle obstacles and hidden opportunities for growth. It all began with a series of financial setbacks. One of the largest international contracts, which had been signed with great enthusiasm, faced delays and complications due to external factors beyond Farid's control. Payments were postponed, trusted suppliers failed to meet deadlines, and minor setbacks began to pile up. For the first time, he felt old fears and doubts threatening his balance. However, instead of succumbing to panic, Farid turned to the principles he had been applying since the beginning of his journey: visualizing solutions, practicing gratitude for the opportunities still present, and taking inspired action to overcome obstacles. Farid understood that, as Bob Proctor taught, challenges are opportunities in disguise. Every problem was, in fact, a chance to strengthen his faith and expand his awareness. He began to analyze each situation with clarity, without being carried away by negative emotions. Instead of complaining or worrying, he transformed each setback into a strategic step. This mindset not only helped him overcome the problems, but also solidified his confidence that he was capable of handling any situation without losing his positive vibration. During this period, Farid realized another fundamental lesson: patience is just as important as inspired action. Not all results manifest instantly, and haste or anxiety can sabotage them. He began practicing focused meditation, conscious breathing, and daily affirmations that reinforced his trust in the natural flow of the universe. Each morning, he mentally reviewed his goals, visualizing them already accomplished and feeling gratitude for the progress, even when external circumstances seemed challenging. While financial tests unfolded, another challenge emerged in his personal life. A close relationship experienced tension due to misunderstandings and unspoken expectations. Farid, who in the past might have reacted impulsively, now applied the same awareness he used in his professional life. He approached with empathy, listened attentively, expressed his feelings clearly, and cultivated mutual understanding. This approach not only resolved the conflict, but also strengthened the bond, showing that the law of attraction applies equally to human relationships when one maintains a positive, aligned energy. This period of challenges also brought deep inner reflection. Farid began noticing old thought patterns that still needed transformation. He identified moments when doubt still surfaced, even briefly, and actively worked to replace it with confidence, faith, and positive expectation. Each time he managed to shift a negative thought into a positive one, he felt the energy of his life aligning more quickly with his desired results. He understood that true mastery of the law of attraction requires not only visualizing and acting, but also constantly monitoring the mind and emotions to ensure they are in harmony with one's deepest desires. A turning point in this phase was the arrival of an unexpected contract from a client on another continent, offering opportunities greater than those he already had. What seemed improbable materialized almost miraculously, reinforcing the lesson that, even in the face of apparent difficulties, the universe is constantly responding to Farid's aligned vibrations and intentions. He began to realize that challenges were in fact catalysts accelerating the manifestation process, pushing him to maintain focus, discipline, and faith even when external circumstances did not seem favorable. Farid also adopted a new approach, anticipating challenges and visualizing solutions before they arose. He understood that conscious anticipation and mental preparation not only reduced the impact of unforeseen events, but also enhanced his ability to create creative and effective solutions. This practice further increased his confidence, enabling him to navigate complex situations without losing composure, while keeping his energy consistently aligned with abundance and success. Throughout this phase, Farid realized another crucial point: the importance of maintaining gratitude in every moment, even in the face of difficulties. Every small sign, every opportunity, every solution found was reason for celebration. This ongoing gratitude acted like a magnet, attracting even more positive situations, supportive people, and resources that facilitated overcoming challenges. He saw that gratitude not only reinforced his vibration, but also accelerated the manifestation of even greater results. Moreover, Farid understood that the law of attraction often manifests in subtle and unexpected ways. One day, during a walk, he met an unexpected mentor who offered strategic advice for further expanding his international business. Another day, he received an invitation to join a collaborative project that seemed out of reach, but once accepted, brought financial returns and transformative personal experiences. Each of these events reinforced the perception that the universe is always ready to deliver opportunities when the mind is aligned, even when temporary challenges arise. On the emotional level, Farid began to feel growing resilience. He understood that true strength is not found in the absence of problems, but in the ability to remain balanced, confident, and optimistic regardless of circumstances. He started viewing each setback not as an obstacle, but as an opportunity to expand his inner growth and strengthen his faith in the law of attraction. This resilience became a powerful tool, enabling him to create increasingly extraordinary and sustainable results. A crucial point in this phase was the consolidation of the understanding that the law of attraction is not only about wishing and receiving, but about transforming oneself internally to vibrate at the frequency of what is desired. Farid realized that true manifestation requires consistency, emotional alignment, mental clarity, and inspired action. Each challenge faced, each unexpected situation overcome, and each result achieved was living proof that inner transformation is the foundation for creating an extraordinary life. As challenges were overcome, Farid experienced not only material growth, but also profound emotional and spiritual maturity. He understood that his journey with the law of attraction was continuous. Each goal achieved brought new horizons, each difficulty overcome strengthened the mind, and each manifested opportunity expanded his potential to create even more. He had learned to trust fully in the process, knowing that faith, gratitude, and aligned action create a spiral of positive results that multiply exponentially. In summary, Farid Rahman's journey was marked by deep tests, unexpected challenges, and continuous growth. He faced financial, emotional, and professional obstacles, but maintained faith, discipline, and inspired action. Each challenge overcome reinforced his confidence in the law of attraction and demonstrated that true transformation goes far beyond material success. It involves inner strength, emotional resilience, and alignment with one's essence. Farid was now more aware of his power to create his reality, capable of transforming obstacles into opportunities, challenges into lessons, and unexperienced experiences into extraordinary progress. He understood that his journey was only beginning, but with faith, discipline, and gratitude, he could achieve any goal and manifest any desire with clarity, confidence, and joy.
After facing challenges that tested his faith, emotional resilience, and discipline, Farid Rahman began to realize that he was entering a phase of consolidation. It was no longer just about maintaining the results he had already achieved, but about integrating his entire experience of transformation to create a fulfilling, sustainable life aligned with his greatest desires. He knew that the true power of the law of attraction manifests consistently when the mind, emotions, and actions remain in perfect harmony. This phase began with deep reflection. Farid spent days evaluating his journey. Every step taken, every decision made, and every challenge overcome. He realized that everything, from the smallest progress to the greatest achievements, was interconnected by an invisible thread, an unshakable faith in his ability to create his reality. Inspired by Bob Proctor's teachings, he understood that consistency in thinking, feeling, and acting in alignment with one's goals creates lasting, multiplying results. With this clarity, Farid began to act with even more focused and conscious energy. He redefined goals, expanded horizons, and embraced projects larger than he had ever imagined. The international enterprise that had already generated financial stability became just a starting point for even bolder opportunities. He began diversifying investments, exploring new markets, and creating initiatives that positively impacted not only his life, but also the lives of others. One of the most significant transformations of this phase was the strengthening of his abundance mindset. Farid realized that true wealth is not limited to money or professional success, but includes time, freedom, healthy relationships, and personal fulfillment. He began prioritizing experiences that nurtured his energy, creativity, and happiness, knowing that the more vibrant his inner life was, the more external abundance he would attract. During this period, Farid began witnessing the manifestation of extraordinary and unexpected results. Even more advantageous international proposals appeared without warning. Important clients sought out his expertise spontaneously, and networking opportunities arose at events that had previously seemed out of reach. Each new manifestation was concrete proof that the law of attraction, when applied with discipline, gratitude, and inspired action, not only fulfills desires, but often surpasses the boldest expectations. Farid also invested time in continuous personal development. He attended advanced trainings in leadership, emotional intelligence, and financial strategy, understanding that the expansion of his awareness was essential to sustain and multiply his results. Each new skill acquired translated into additional opportunities and greater capacity to create positive impact across different areas of his life. A defining moment of this phase occurred when Farid received public recognition for his journey. He was invited to speak at international conferences, where he shared his experiences with the law of attraction and the transformation he had lived. People listened attentively, many moved to tears, and some approached him to express that they had found inspiration to transform their own lives. This feedback reinforced Farid's perception that individual success gains even greater value when shared and used to inspire others. As he consolidated external achievements, Farid also strengthened his personal life and relationships. Friends and family noticed significant changes. He was more present, more self-assured, and more generous with his time and attention. He understood that the law of attraction not only transforms the external landscape, but also enhances how we relate to others, creating harmony, understanding, and genuine connections.
Farid reached a point where he could say with conviction that he had built a life aligned with his values, dreams, and purpose. Financial abundance was only part of it. True fulfillment lay in his ability to live according to his principles, contribute to the well-being of others, and maintain emotional balance. He realized that every challenge faced, every doubt overcome, and every inspired action had prepared him for this moment of full consolidation. On the emotional level, Farid experienced deep confidence and serenity. He knew that regardless of external events, his internal alignment would guarantee positive results. This state of mind allowed him to face any situation with calm, clarity, and creativity, consolidating his certainty that he was on the right path and the best was yet to come. In addition, Farid began practicing long-term visualization. It was no longer just about immediate goals, but about imagining, feeling, and planning an entire life of abundance, fulfillment, and positive impact. He visualized not only financial successes, but also enriching experiences, transformative journeys, deep connections, and meaningful contributions to the global community. This daily practice expanded his vision, strengthened his motivation, and attracted opportunities in an almost magical way. The impact of this phase on Farid's life was visible and profound. He came to understand that the law of attraction is a continuous and expansive process, strengthened by faith, gratitude, inspired action, and emotional alignment. Each extraordinary result that appeared was the product of a continuous cycle: clear thought, elevated feeling, conscious action, positive manifestation. This awareness allowed Farid to become the master of his own reality, capable of creating experiences that once seemed impossible. A symbolic episode occurred when Farid was approached by investors interested in social projects that combined profit with positive impact. This opportunity combined all the elements he valued: financial growth, social contribution, and alignment with his deepest values. He realized that true fulfillment does not lie only in creating wealth for oneself, but in using resources, knowledge, and influence to generate benefits for others and for the world. While celebrating his achievements, Farid continued practicing daily gratitude, reinforcing his positive vibration and keeping his mind open to new opportunities. He knew that every extraordinary result he had already manifested was simply a reflection of his discipline, faith, and aligned action, and that the universe would continue conspiring in favor of his desires as long as he maintained a high vibrational frequency and clear focus. In summary, Farid Rahman's journey demonstrates the consolidation of achievement and the attraction of extraordinary results. He integrated learning, discipline, gratitude, and inspired action to create a life of abundance, balance, and meaning. The law of attraction not only materialized desires, but transformed his awareness, strengthening his ability to manifest, contribute, and inspire. Farid had reached a level of fulfillment that went beyond the material, consolidating a full life of positive impact and complete alignment with his purpose.
After years of dedication, discipline, and conscious application of the law of attraction, Farid Rahman reached a point of complete transformation. It was not only about financial success or professional recognition. It was about the profound change in his mind, emotions, and perception of life. He had become someone capable of creating opportunities, facing challenges with confidence, and radiating positive energy that inspired everyone around him. Every experience he had lived had been a step in the construction of an extraordinary life marked by abundance, purpose, and personal fulfillment. Farid looked back at his journey and clearly saw that the most challenging moments, once sources of fear and doubt, had been essential for his growth. Every financial setback, every personal conflict, and every unexpected situation had acted as both trials and catalysts that strengthened his faith and expanded his awareness. He finally understood that the true law of attraction does not only manifest desires, but also transforms the human being, shaping the mind, emotions, and attitudes to live in harmony with the universe. One of the most significant aspects of this transformation was the perception of autonomy and personal power. Farid now knew that his choices, thoughts, and feelings were the true creators of his reality. He no longer depended on external factors or luck.
His life was the result of constant alignment with his goals and elevated vibration. This awareness gave him extraordinary freedom. He could dream big, plan without fear, and act with confidence, knowing the universe responded to his inner frequency. At the same time, Farid began multiplying his positive impact on the world. He no longer sought only to live in abundance, but to inspire others to believe in their own power of transformation. He organized workshops, lectures, and online gatherings, sharing his story, strategies, and daily practices of visualization, gratitude, and inspired action. Each success story from someone applying the principles he taught reinforced his conviction. When one person transforms their own life, they directly impact the world around them. A remarkable episode during this period of impact came when Farid was invited to speak at an international personal development conference. He stepped onto the stage and, before hundreds of people, shared his story, from the first moments of doubt to the creation of his abundant, fulfilling life. As he spoke of real experiences, challenges overcome, and extraordinary results, he noticed tears, smiles, and applause in the audience, clear signs that his journey was inspiring others to act and believe in their potential. Meanwhile, Farid continued to strengthen his personal and emotional life. His unshakable confidence reflected in healthy relationships, meaningful connections, and moments of deep gratitude. He realized that true success was not only about achieving material goals, but about living in a balanced, joyful, and harmonious way with himself and others. Each relationship he nurtured, each act of generosity, and each moment of appreciation contributed to a continuous cycle of positive energy, multiplying even more the results of the law of attraction. Farid also became a master of inspired action. He knew it was not enough to simply visualize or wait for opportunities to arrive. It was necessary to act consciously, strategically, and aligned with his desires. Every project he started, every decision he made, and every investment he pursued was the result of planning, intuition, and confidence. This practice consolidated his ability to manifest extraordinary results consistently and sustainably, creating a legacy of discipline, focus, and achievement. A symbolic moment of this complete transformation came when Farid looked at his own reflection in the mirror and realized something extraordinary. He was no longer just a man who had achieved material success. He was someone who had transformed his mind, heart, and entire life. Someone capable of creating any reality he desired and inspiring others to do the same. The sense of fulfillment was immense. The life that once seemed distant and impossible was now a living, tangible, expansive reality. For Farid, the law of attraction was no longer just a tool for achievement. It had become a philosophy of life, a daily practice of gratitude, mental alignment, inspired action, and positive expectation. He understood that every extraordinary result he had achieved was the fruit of his discipline, faith, and elevated energy. More importantly, he understood that true transformation happens from the inside out. External life is only a reflection of the internal state of consciousness and vibration. To consolidate this final stage of his journey, Farid also dedicated himself to creating projects that combined abundance with social contribution. He invested in initiatives that generated positive impact in communities, supporting education, entrepreneurship, and personal development. In this way, he not only continued to attract prosperity for himself, but also multiplied his positive energy, creating a virtuous cycle of shared abundance. As he reflected on his journey, Farid realized that the secret of everything lay in three fundamental pillars: fully believing, aligning thoughts and emotions with desired goals, and acting with inspiration. Without these elements, any attempt to manifest desires would be unstable or temporary. He knew he had experienced a complete transformation, but also understood that this was only the foundation for an even more extraordinary future. In the end, Farid Rahman became a living example that the law of attraction works for those who apply its principles with faith, discipline, and conscious action. He demonstrated that even in the face of doubt, challenges, and obstacles, it is possible to create a fulfilling, abundant, and transformative life. His journey was not only about money, success, or recognition. It was about mastering the mind, elevating consciousness, and positively impacting the world around him. And now, dear viewer, the question is, are you ready to believe in your own power of transformation? Are you ready to align your thoughts, emotions, and actions and manifest the life you've always dreamed of? Farid Rahman proved that it is possible, and his story can be the starting point for your journey of abundance and fulfillment. The choice is yours, and the time is now.